Court's ruling has, in effect, rewritten the Equality Act to reduce the definition of woman and sex to so-called biological terms. In doing so, it has stripped away rights that many trans people relied upon and, crucially, it has made life harder, not safer, for all women, cis and trans alike. Since this ruling, hundreds of testimonies have poured in from people across Scotland and the UK. The report, A Community Living in Fear, published by Patriarchal, captures the scale of the crisis. People are terrified. One trans woman described the ruling as profoundly dehumanising, saying, "It not only invalidates the lived realities of trans women like myself, but sends a broader message that we are to be excluded, further fueling discrimination, isolation and abuse that many of us already face daily." Another trans mother of a young son told how she now feels she cannot even take her child into the toilet in public. "I haven't been to a toilet outside of the house since, because now I am scared. Is this my future? I don't want my 3-year-old exposed to harassment just because of who I am." These are not abstract fears, they are daily lived realities. The ruling has emboldened those who wish to exclude, harass and intimidate. It has left people considering emigration, facing panic attacks and, heartbreakingly, openly discussing suicidal thoughts. And let us be very clear, this ruling does nothing to protect women. On the contrary, it places all women under greater scrutiny. As one cis woman explained, "Since this ruling, I find myself terrified." I'm using the words...
Ms Chapman, please resume your seat. I don't think the member was taking an intervention. No. Point of order, Richard Hamilton.
Order, Presiding Officer. I personally object to be calling a cis woman.
I thank Ms Hamilton for her point of order. What I would say, of course, is that we are a parliament, we will debate issues, and it is always the role, and if I could finish, it is always the role of the Chair to protect the rights of members to scrutinise, to debate robustly, and to challenge each other robustly. I've heard the language that the member used. I don't think that the member was referring to any specific member by using that terminology. Obviously, the member has now heard that, for instance, Ms Hamilton would not regard that terminology vis-à-vis herself as being other than personally insulting, and therefore I hope that the member in question would not use that terminology as far as that member is concerned. But I think the member's use of the terminology was in a wider context. I don't think it was directed at Ms Hamilton. And with that, I would ask the member to resume.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. As one cis woman explained, "Since this ruling, I find myself terrified before I dress to go out in public. I'm unwilling to be an unauthentic version of me, but I keep thinking, maybe if I wear this, I'll be less likely to be misgendered or more likely to be left alone. This ruling will make everyone a judge of whether you are woman enough." End quote. That is the reality. This ruling narrows and polices womanhood, reinforcing patriarchal control instead of dismantling it. We must resist the false choice between women's rights and trans rights. When women are reduced to biology, we all lose. When trans people are denied dignity, we all lose. When rights are stripped away from any community, none of us is safe. I stand with women, I stand with trans people, I stand with all who refuse to be pitted against one another. Together, we must reject attempts to roll back rights and instead build a Scotland where every person, cis, trans and non-binary, can live free from fear, with dignity and with equal protection under the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I join others.